Hello again, everybody. I think yesterday I made a little mistake, not with what I've done with the Lasius flavus, but with what I've done with YouTube. I've done something and I've not explained why I've done it. And after I posted yesterday's video, I've had people contact me on Discord, and even one guy who posted in the thread and then deleted it afterwards. I don't know why. He was right in what he said. And a lot of people have said to me, look, don't you think that nest is too big for them at the moment? So what I'd just like to do today is my rationale, my thinking, my reasoning, and why I've done what I've done. So, first of all, yes, that nest is too big for them. I absolutely agree with everyone who has said that to me, and I don't expect them to move in anytime soon. Now, when I said when Lasius move, it tends to go like this. The first thing that will happen is that workers will investigate the new nest for a couple of weeks normally. They'll run round it, they'll seem to, they almost map it with pheromones. So they sort of explore every little corner for about 2 weeks. And then you might see the odd worker that actually stays in there, that just sits in there sometimes. And then slowly there'll become a few more, and then, like I said, one night, overnight, the queen and the brood will be moved over. So the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to give them access to this nest so that they could start mapping it out, so that they knew that it's there, so that they know it is available for them if they wanted to. So then the second thing is people, say, oh, it's too big. And yes, ants don't like space. I've said this before. And the main problem with too big a nest is not actually mold. I mean, yes, they can dump trash in spare areas and you can end up getting a mold outbreak. But the main danger is their security. If they don't feel secure, they won't produce eggs, the queen won't lay, the workers might not even forage, they might just all cluster around the queen trying to protect her. And when you see pictures online of people who have gone out and bought a new colony with, let's say, 10 to 15 workers in it and dumped the test tube out into the outworld, forcing them to then move into whatever gigantic nest they've bought to go with their little colony, you will then see the ant colony, the 10 of them, all huddled up one corner of this giant nest, looking really lonely and lost. And that's when you know ants are in too big a nest. So in their current nest, they've actually done this. They've put sand all along the tube to the entrance to the nest so that they've made themselves really secure in there. And I am going to continue watering this current nest that they're in and keeping it dark. So I'm not forcing them to do anything at all here that they're not comfortable with. If they think that new nest is too big, which it is at the moment, then they'll stay exactly where they are. So they're already treating it, it's a bit like the outworld to them. It's part of their exploring routine. And actually there are already ants investigating it and looking around in there, which is a positive sign. It means they know it's there, which is good. I don't think they'll dump their trash in there. They're not completely stupid ants when it comes to trash dumping. They do try to find a drier corner, and it's fairly humid in there. So I don't think that's where they'll put the trash. I'm not too worried about that. And the next thing to say here is I think they'll be ready for that nest in about June. They're currently on, I think, about 45, possibly even more than that now. I counted them, I think, on Saturday, and it was a very rough count. They don't stand still. And there's probably been a few more since then, and there's more pupa. So they're probably pushing 50. And they've got a bucket load of larvae, an absolute bucket load. There's at least 30, probably more than that. I mean, I'm probably underestimating at 30. I'm showing pictures while I've been talking of looking around their nest. So they could easily, by June, be on 80 plus workers. And then they could have a carpet of 80 plus larvae that those 80 workers are like tending to, plus some more pupa there and another egg pile. And then they'll be starting to take up more space, and then they might think about that new nest. So June, let's say the end of June, they might be ready for that. They might have gone over 100 or so by then. If they keep developing like they are, that's still not that far away when you think in terms of weeks. And I've said, like, it takes them 7 weeks to move in. Let them explore it. Let them get the feel of it. Let the workers run around in there and have a look around, so that when they are big enough, they just move straight in. But now I'll come to the real crux of the matter, and the reason I wanted to get this connected up now, and didn't want to wait until June, because that's the next thing that people will say, well, why didn't you just wait till June or July and connect it up then? Well, I am still learning, and I watch a lot of videos. So there's two videos recently that have influenced me in my thinking here. And I thought along these lines anyway, but they've sort of reinforced this thinking into me and made me think, hang on a minute. And the first of those is by Ant's Hood. And I'm going to leave links to both of these videos down below. So please do go and watch them. Well, Ant's Hood, I think it might even have been yesterday he brought this video out, is reviewing a product, and I don't want to go into the review of the product, but one of the things he was talking about was layered acrylic nests with sponges for hydration, and how poor he finds them and how fast the hydration drops off. I've for a long time agreed with this. I've been moaning about this nest that the flavus are in for the duration of my channel. If you go back, you'll see me moaning about this nest on videos from last year. And the sponge in this nest is tiny. Compared to like those sponges that Ant's Hood had in the nest that he was reviewing. This is a tiny little sponge in a tiny little nest, and it really is poor for humidity. It doesn't hold humidity. And then the second thing here is it's getting old. I zoomed the camera in here to have a look at the sponge, and you can see the sponge is degrading, and it's hard to put water in now. I think there's some blockages and stuff. I think the limescale and the gunk and the dirt is just building up in there, and I'm really worried about this little nest holding its humidity. I already have to water it every 2 to 3 days, whereas the ones that are in Wakushi nests I water every 2 to 3 weeks. That's the sort of time differences we're talking about here. And with the hot weather coming, I'm worried that there'll be a hot day, I'll be at work, or I won't look in on the ants for maybe 2 days, and it will really dry out, because I think it's a nest that's on its last legs. And then another video that influenced me is by Anty Matters, and he very sadly has just lost a Lasius flavus colony. Again, I'll link this video, please do watch. And this was lack of water, lack of humidity that caused his colony. The 2 queens are still alive, and he's hopeful that they'll recover. But I said in my video regarding water, my water video that I did, I said in that video, I said water is the most important thing that you need to provide for your ants. Everybody on the forums and the Reddits, they want to talk about proteins and sugars and what should I feed my ants. Nobody really mentions water. It's not right up there, and it should be right up there at the top as the main thing that you always worry about for your ants, because it can wipe a colony out, as if you watch the video that I linked from Anty Matters, you'll see just what it can do to a colony. So yeah, I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that June would come, hot weather would come, July would come, and one day their nest would completely dry out and I could lose the colony, bang, in the space of a couple of days, because that nest isn't holding its humidity. So I would like them to know about this new nest. I would like to have had these workers explore it, map it out, know that it's there. So let's call it a lifeboat or a panic room or whatever. If their nest does dry out and before they're ready to move, at least they know they've got this bolt hole, and I'm assuming at that point they would move, hopefully. So yeah, that's basically my reasoning and why I've connected it up, and why I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I've said this again before. It doesn't matter if the ants don't want to move. They can stay where they are. It doesn't bother me. If they want to move into the new one, they will do. It's up to them. It's not doing any harm. It's just there on the crossroads. They can look in if they want to look in. They don't have to. They can go into the outworld for their food. it's not damaging them. They don't think they're in too big a space. They don't treat it currently as part of their nest. They see that just as the little area that they're still in. So everything's fine, and it, like I said, it provides me with that safety blanket. So yeah, that's the reasons I've done what I've done. So yeah, and hopefully that answers a lot of the sort of questions that people have asked me recently. Thank you for watching, everybody. Goodbye.